a long, prosperous career in the NBA. So
yeah, definitely. And Tyler, I don't know if you were getting ready to chime in on that.
Yeah, no, he absolutely should go ahead and become a lottery pick. Think about it. Kyrie didn't have a lot of tape either. He was number 1 overall. The guy was one of the best high school players to come out of the country. Highly recruited. Don't know how he winded up at Missouri. That could be another investigation by itself. But he will.
Money flowing.
He would definitely be he'd definitely be a top 15 pick. So just come on out. And just like Kevin said, I didn't understand why he came back. I wouldn't have risked it. I just would have set out for the tournament, just prep for the draft, and become that top 15 pick.
Yeah. And shout out to DJ King Royal. He said, I still have Nova and Kansas going to the Final Four. Well, my brother, you are actually doing pretty good. So keep up the good work there. And with that kind of leads into the other part of the discussion I wanted to have. The Big East recommends replacing the one and done for a 2 or none. I'm starting to think about this. Is this a great idea? Obviously, one and done, to me, it doesn't hurt college basketball too much because, honestly, if you see a guy there for 4 years, most of the time he's there for 4 years because he can't get drafted or because he needs to help rise his stock. But if you take it to the 2 or none, where they basically stay for 2 years or they don't go to college at all, and they're starting about developing this program that could help these kids get ready for the NBA. And I wanted to get both of you guys' thoughts on this because college basketball is corrupted. We already know that. We already know that there's money flowing. We already know that there's $100,000 handshakes. There's a lot of that going on. We're not surprised. But I'll start with you, Tyler. What do you think about this, 2 or none that they're trying to implement possibly?
I mean, honestly, I like it, man, because I miss the competition of college basketball. The Duke teams that were stacked with Trajan Langdon, Brand, Boozer, seniors. It was a lot more enjoyable to watch. I watch college basketball now, and yes, the elite stars, but that's pretty much about it because it's constantly a revolving door. If you get a kid into school more than 1 year, you can really develop a program and also develop the kid. I don't know what the NBA is doing with their D-League. I know they're looking to make some changes to kind of counteract with the one-and-done rule. But to me, I mean, the more level of competition you get in school will only make you better for the league, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there needs to be a preparation. And if this is able to give kids another level of preparation to say, you need to do these things, you need to do these. Also, I think it's going to say, you're not ready yet. And I think people need to be honest with these kids and say, you're not ready mentally, physically, whatever it may be. Don't keep just throwing these kids to the wolves. And when things don't work out, they end up going back to their hometown, not doing anything, or God forbid, go to jail or worse. So I think it's a nice implementation. And Kevin, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there should be a hybrid of it. And Steve Kerr actually had a fantastic idea, I thought, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, in that if a kid doesn't get drafted into the NBA, let him go back to school. If he doesn't sign with an agent or if he doesn't have an opportunity to get drafted, what's the harm in letting the kid go back to school and continue to further not only his education, but also further his career as a basketball player where he has an opportunity to re-enter into the draft later on. I'm of the mindset, let these kids, if they decide that they want to try and test their skills in the NBA at the age of 18, let them go ahead and go to the league. And if they don't get drafted, as Steve Kerr said, let them go back to school so they can actually get better in terms of their basketball career, potentially get an education. And who knows, they may want to stay 2, 3, or 4 years, depending on how they feel about their college experience and what they are able to do in terms of being a player in college. So I'm of the rule and in favor of, obviously, baseball players can sign at the age of 16. You could turn pro in tennis at the age of 14, 15 years old. You can become a hockey player at a very young age. Let these kids go to school and test out their skills in terms of the NBA. I understand in years past what David Stern was trying to do in terms of creating a better basketball product in the NBA, because ultimately the NBA is trying to run a business, and the business is only good as its product that's on the court. So in implementing the one-and-done rule, you make kids go to school for a year. They get to have an opportunity to play in college, get better as a college player, and then when they get to the NBA, they are supposed to be much more ready and much more seasoned in order to get themselves ready to play in the league. But at the same time, you're stifling individuals like a Ben Simmons, who pretty much nailed it in his 1 year, it felt like, at LSU when he was playing there, because he knew all he was going to do was get to the NBA as a lottery pick for the 76ers. So it's an interesting idea. I'm just in favor of, if the kid doesn't get drafted, let him go back to school, especially if he doesn't sign with an agent. And even if he does sign with an agent and he gets bad advice, or he winds up going to the draft and doesn't get drafted, let him come back to school and have an opportunity to further his career there. So I think there's different ways that this can happen. I think this is an iteration of it that's a good idea, but that could use some tweaking given, what we see in terms of these high school and college kids when it comes to their decisions about going pro or not.
Yeah. And I think I don't think there's a set stamp that we could say one and done, two and done. I think there needs to be a mixture. I agree with you, Kevin, a hybrid of it, where there is some more guidelines and stuff in place. But if the kid feels like he wants to go and he doesn't get drafted, I completely agree with that idea. As Big L says in the chat room, let them go back to school. Let them continue to develop themselves. Let them continue to get better at their skill and at their mental as well. Also, shout out to Antoine Smitty Smith. He's got a show called the Smitty Sports Machine on Blog Talk Radio. Go check that out. That's on, like I said, Blog Talk Radio. So, we've had a very, very interesting week in sports. Like I said, we got the Elite Eight. That's all set up. NFL news from this week. Actually, yesterday, Martellus Bennett says he's planning on retiring. He did mention that in the season, or towards the end of the season, and he's had a very up and down career. He started off here in Dallas, as we both know, behind Jason Witten. Jason Witten seemed like he didn't want to really train that guy. He didn't want to help him out. It was something that didn't work out. When he left here, I believe he went to the Giants, and from there he went to the Bears. So he's been all over. I don't think he ever fully reached his potential, and I think that's sad, but it happens in the NFL all the time. He did get a ring with the Patriots, but both of you guys talk about Martellus Bennett, his career, and what was your thoughts on him throughout his whole career? And I'll start with you, Tyler.
I mean, the potential was there. You can see that when he started off with Dallas. But he had a lot of run-ins with, I think it was Jason Garrett's brother who was on the team, who was the tight ends coach at the time.
Right.
And they wanted to mold him in more of a blocking tight end. And, of course, he was pretty immature as a rookie. But he didn't want to really mold into their blocking tight end because he knew what type of talents he had. But Dallas, of course, unfortunately didn't utilize it. And just, as you said, Jason Garrett really didn't want to take him under the wing. So a lot of his potential got overshadowed early on in his career. He really blossomed with the Bears, though. That was probably his best season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was like his breakout year. And then he had more teams coming after him, wanting to sign him. Kevin, what was your thoughts on Martellus Bennett?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the guy had his best year in 2014 with the Chicago Bears. I mean, the guy had, 90 catches for 916 yards and, 6 touchdowns, and a guy who was a threat at the tight end position. And I think we saw, obviously, the peak of his game when he was with Chicago and then started to bounce around after that, with, New England and having an opportunity there. But, I mean, he did what he had to do. He became a Super Bowl champion, and that's all you can really ask for as an NFL player, is an opportunity to play and win championships, and he was able to do that. I mean, the guy is very interesting off the field because he's an extremely creative guy with his drawings and his cartoons and his production. company in terms of animation that he's doing. So this is a guy who I think will have a tremendous impact off of the field with his ability to affect kids and write books and his drawings and the things that he's going to do now that his career is over than he did on the football field. I think he talked about that partly in his tweet last night, saying that, you know, he's going to start what he believes is his life's purpose in terms of helping these kids, you know, off the football field. But he used this platform well, was a controversial guy. Him and Michael Bennett, the Bennett brothers, controversial in the NFL both, and it's ironic that Martellus Bennett retired the same day that his brother Michael was, you know, indicted on a felony charge, which by the sounds of it may be pretty bogus, but that's another conversation for another day. But at the same time, got a good football player, and he didn't get the chance to show off his talents much more down here in Dallas. But Jason Witten obviously wanted to be the one and only tight end the Dallas Cowboys have had over the last, 15 years now. But at the same time, good football player, good career. Happy for him and his success and what he'll do after football. So he'll be just fine and have a tremendous impact off of the football field, more so than he did on it. But a good football player, though. Yeah,
definitely. And I'll also shout out to DJ Dollars and Cents. He had a show last night. Go check that out on Spreaker.com. Mocha Bella says the Dolphins signed Brock Osweiler. Yeah, they did. Now I did not put that in the show notes because it wasn't important, but I will say this guy, the amount of money that he's gotten in his NFL career without starting very many games, more power to the guy, because he has got paid by multiple teams. He's probably still being paid by multiple teams. And is he going to be the starter with the Dolphins? I don't know, but to me, it's golly, I don't. That's probably another conversation again for another day. But he's getting signed again. I'm gonna say this over cap. Like I still don't get it. I still don't get it. Go ahead, Tyler. I think we're gonna add something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can never understand that Osweiler can find opportunities to work before Colin Kaepernick can. I don't get it whatsoever. I know he's tall and everything, but the arm is just not there. Cap has clearly showed he has a rocket for an arm. Took a team to the NFC Championship game. I mean, what else more do you want?
What else? Yeah. What else do you need to? What else do you need to see? What as a GM? What else? What else is it that you need to see? And I don't know. Also, shout out to Jelani, JB Bodie. He says, I know. Better not be hearing no whoa as me talking about the Cowboys. Boo, Cowboys. Oh, yeah. What up, Ben, Tyler, and Kevin?
Jelani's got his own problems to worry about in Detroit with that new head football coach is and Matt Patricia. So you might want to get that figured out, what they've got going on in Detroit. So we'll handle what we got going on down here in Dallas. You worry about them Lions up there in Detroit.
Right, and Big O says it's not about talent with Cap. I definitely know that. I know it's not. I know what it's truly about. But at some point, you got to get over that. He started something that needed to be addressed. It was widespread over the whole NFL. So to punish one person over something is not. To me, it's just not even logical. I'm not gonna say it's not fair. It's not logical to punish one person when a whole NFL was doing very similar things. So,
well, they're doing the same thing to Eric Reed right now.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
you're right. So other Dolphins news: Frank Gore returning back to Miami. He's going to be on the Dolphins. Nubsy, if you don't know who I'm talking about when I say Nubsy, that's Jason Pierre-Paul, who's got 2.5 fingers, including a thumb. Ends up getting traded to the Bucks. I'm sure we'll see Chief Rock in the chat room in a minute talking about the Giants. Eagles signed another player in Mike Wallace, who has kind of had a fall from grace, but he's not the same Mike Wallace. But again, that's another possible weapon for the Eagles. So that's kind of rounds out the NFL news as far as signings. Now, the NFL is also saying that they are going to uh, re-establish the controversial catch rule, which to me it shouldn't have been controversial to begin with.